Cuckoo is a new horror thriller film by director Tillman Singer that follows Gretchen, an American girl who moves with her family to Europe to stay at a resort. The movie's a few weeks old now, and actually it's been shown to people over the last year at film festivals, and it's gotten a lot of high praise for being one of these new, fresh, indie horror films, and I actually really did enjoy this one. If you've seen Cuckoo and you've seen The Shining, then you'll absolutely see that they're very different types of horror films, but that initial kind of plot device where they are traveling to stay in this resort hotel type setting, it really did start to remind me of The Shining. The horror tone of this film is very different from that of The Shining, but I felt like it was that initial opening scene and the initial premise of what these characters are doing in the film that made me, it kind of made me connect those dots. The film definitely takes some swings with its plot and its overall narrative, but overall I feel like the biggest goal that I feel like the movie did accomplish was just creating a very creepy atmosphere. Almost all of the scenes with our main character, played by Hunter Schafer, feel very awkward because we're supposed to kind of be in her shoes. Many of the movie's comedic beats come from her being very self-aware of all of the very bizarre things happening in the world around her while everybody else is acting like she's the crazy one. Here in Austin, we got the Alma Drafthouse Theater, which is where I got to see this movie, and right before the movie played, there was an interview clip with both of the main actors in the film as well as the director, where they discussed a lot about how they filmed this whole movie on 35mm film. They talked a lot about how whenever you're working with that type of filming style, you really kind of have to get everything right in as little takes as possible. Knowing that going into the movie, I was also able to recognize and really notice how intentional many of the shots were and just how effective they were at making me feel uneasy. The use of its sound design and the visuals in the film really did come together in many of the scenes, particularly whenever we have scenes like the lady who you see running through the woods, and there's a bicycle scene where our main character Gretchen is riding home from work late at night, and you see the shadow of this lady who's running after her, her hand coming at her. This is something that you see in the trailer. I don't want to get into too many spoilers here, but scenes like that are very well done. And like I said, without getting into too many spoilers, let's talk about the plot for a little bit, because I felt like the initial hook for about the first half of the movie or so, I was very curious to kind of figure out what was going on. While she's here at this resort, things are obviously not quite as they seem, and she's kind of trying to get to the bottom of it. And without saying too much, the movie does go into a direction where the horror elements, a lot of the reasons for why things are happening the way that they are, definitely left me very confused. Not that the movie is necessarily hard to understand, but it's one of those movies where once you've seen it the first time, a second rewatch is definitely kind of necessary for you to really get what they were going for from start to finish. It takes a lot of big swings, and for many people it's going to hit. For me, it hit most of the time, but many of the times I was kind of just expecting the movie to go maybe not in a very specific direction. I just wasn't expecting it to go in the direction that it did go. In regards to everything happening behind the scenes and why things are the way that they are, the movie does kind of build up a little bit of lore around all of these certain horror elements, so to say. It was overall very interesting, it was very entertaining, and I felt like the performances were very well done. Is it the best horror movie that I've seen this year? No, definitely not, but it was absolutely a good time if you are a fan of thrillers and horror movies in this genre. Let me know in the comments below what you thought about Cuckoo. Have you seen it yet? Let me know all of your thoughts about this film down below, and right over there you can actually see my review of Alien Romulus if you are a fan of horror, and right below that one you can see my review of Deadpool and Wolverine. And if you're interested in gaming content, go into the description box below and consider subscribing to my main channel, Overleveled Games, where I, in a similar fashion to this, talk about video games. However, with all that said, I will see you all in the next video. Bye bye.